Hello, friends, fiends, and fellow UBTubers, and welcome to episode 724 of the Daily Comic and Collectible. Today, the collectible of the day is the Diamond Toys Marvel Comics Marvel Select Series Bobby Drake Iceman action figure with diorama base. The coolest X-Man is now one of the coolest Marvel Select action figures ever. Cast in translucent plastic, this 7-inch figure of Bobby Drake, also known as Iceman, is the newest entry in the Marvel Select line. In addition to an Ice Slide diorama base, this figure will include multiple interchangeable parts. It comes in display-ready Select action figure packaging. This Marvel Select Series action figure of Iceman was inspired directly from the character in Marvel Comics. Bobby Drake stands 7 inches in height without the base and features an intricate sculpt with a frosted acrylic to give it an actual look of real ice. Iceman features advanced articulation with over 22 points of movement for posing and displaying in your collection alone or on his included Ice Slide diorama base. The included Ice Slide diorama base is made of the same translucent material and even includes peg holes for securing your Iceman action figure. Box contents include the translucent fully articulated Iceman action figure, translucent Ice Slide base diorama, 2 interchangeable head sculpts, 2 interchangeable X-Men belts, 5 total interchangeable hands, with 3 alternate hands containing special ice attack effects. This figure was designed and sculpted by May Tharmtarana in 2023 by Diamond Select Toys. Now, the comic of the day is X-Men Classic, Volume 1, Issue number 50, with the cover date of August 1990. However, this is a direct reprint of Uncanny X-Men, issue number 146, with a cover date of June 1981, with story by Chris Claremont, art by Dave Cockrum, and cover by Steve Lytle. This story is titled Murder World. The story opens after Dr. Doom has captured the X-Men and devised cunning traps for each of them. Nightcrawler was in a featureless box, incapable of knowing where he was or where he could safely teleport to. Colossus was on an apparent mountain peak with a whirlpool slowly climbing upwards, and lasers destroying anything as large as his armored form. Wolverine was in a checkerboard, amorphous anti-gravity room that was driving his senses crazy, and every time he hit a wall, it accelerated him. And Angel was in a giant bird cage, where the perch was safe, but any attempt to leave it led to many low-intensity lasers, turning the air into a maze of crisscrossing beams. Storm's cocoon consisted of an organic chrome, the epitome of confinement, and left her in a state which triggered her claustrophobia and caused her to unconsciously generate a fierce storm across the whole eastern seaboard. That storm caused a near-miss lightning bolt to jolt Cyclops' eye bandage off, revealing his optic blast to Lee Forrester. The bandage was quickly reapplied, but Scott would have some explaining to do. The reserve X-Men, called in to follow the second half of Storm's plan, was to fly over the derelict amusement park, where the X-Men were released last time they tangled with Murder World. Polaris used her magnetic powers to trace the underground structures back to Murder World. Havoc dug a tunnel, and Polaris short-circuited the electronics to prevent detection. Or so she thought. But then, a holographic Miss Locke welcomed them, and the games began. Trap doors separated all our heroes. Havoc found himself on roller coaster with spacecraft shooting at him. Some were holograms, but some were dangerously real. He blasted some, but then things looked to get worse as he was headed into a large mothership's mouth. He jumped out at the last second, landing on the outside of the mothership. Predictably, his roller coaster car exploded. Iceman then found himself on an ice rink with some enraged hockey players. An ice shield kept them at bay, but the excess weight tumbled the robot players through the ice and into acid. More players skated into the rink, and heating vents turned on. Banshee found himself in an Old West shootout. Deprived of his powers, he had to rely on his Interpol training. He outshot the other robot, but its compadres wanted in on the action. Sean used a microbomb to destroy them, blowing a hole through the wall where he saw Moira McTaggart being tied to train tracks. Polaris found herself on a merry-go-round. She got distracted by what looked like Ilyana Rasputin running by her, only to be attacked by the merry-go-round's horses. She destroyed them with her power and went after the girl, except it wasn't Ilyana at all, but a robot with a gun. Of course, robots nor guns were no threat to a mistress of magnetism. But then, the ride started spinning incredibly quickly, launching itself into the air and detonating. But Polaris managed to protect herself. However, an inhibitor field caused her to fall. Polaris then fell into the Iceman's chamber, who luckily caught her. However, the weight of his ice slide collapsed the rink surface below, meaning he needed to escape now or be eaten by acid. He supercooled the wall in front of him, making it brittle enough to smash through. Havoc got into the utility tunnels and shorted out a major box. Chambers went to investigate and was taken out by Havoc. Banshee then defeated the villain tying Moira, but she was tied with wire, so untying her quickly was impossible. However, along the track came Amanda Sefton and Candy Southern, tied up in a roller coaster car, so blowing up the track would kill them. Banshee resigned himself to having to blow up the track when Polaris and Iceman arrived, preventing anyone's death. Suddenly, Moira, Amanda, and Candy exploded. They were all robots. Our heroes were saved by Polaris's quick magnetic shield. Miss Locke watched all of this with glee until Havoc showed up and trashed her firearm. With the control center disabled, the X-Men quickly freed the hostages and made it back out to the hoverjet to discover a major storm outside. Doom has also noticed the storm, and it worries him. Arcade, however, was unconcerned, and he noticed that Nightcrawler just disappeared from his cell. This story is concluded in the Uncanny X-Men, issue number 147, and also in X-Men Classic, issue number 51. Geek Fact: Kitty is the only team member not present this issue. She isn't present because she's sick, having come down with the flu, as explained in Uncanny X-Men, issue number 145, from May of 1981. Bonus Geek Fact: the Dr. Doom in this issue is later revealed to be a Doombot, and is destroyed by the real Doom for suffering the indignity of allowing Arcade to strike a match on his armor, and to get away with it. The concept of turning the Doom character from this issue into a Doombot was done by writer Chris Claremont's former co-creator John Byrne. Editor-in-Chief Jim Shooter noted that Claremont was not consulted and did not approve of this later revelation. State-of-the-art gaming!
Extra, extra, read all about it.
From the bad news, terrorists go nuke. From the Interplanetary Press, aliens master military minds. If the world ends tomorrow, it's all your fault.
Konami and Ultra are putting you under the gun by giving you the power and strength to save mankind from certain extinction.
In Super C and Snake's Revenge, 2 new mega-hit Mega Wars, you'll be bombed, blasted, and befuddled by the vile alien Red Falcon and the world's premium madman, Hyarola Kakamami. From the onset of these onslaughts, they'll fight you tooth and claw with thousands of planet-blistering weapons. And if your rocket launchers, flamethrowers, laser guns, and supreme wits fail to overcome multiple levels of mass destruction, civilization will cease to exist. And you'll have no one to blame but yourself. So buckle up, bastard. You're gonna need it.
Only from Konami. I can't hide this geek back anymore. And if I have to crawl across the floor, come crashing through your door. I can't hide this final geek back anymore.
Before becoming a supervillain, Arcade began developing deadly proto-Murder World-style games in the arcade on Coney Island. The first known Murder World was built underground, beneath an amusement park in Manhattan. A large portion of this Murder World was a large-scale pinball machine, but it also contained trapdoors, mazes, booby traps, and a variety of killer robotics. When the Magia hired Arcade as an assassin, Spider-Man, Captain Britain, and Courtney Ross became the first visitors to Murder World. Although the pair escaped and destroyed a large portion of Murder World, Arcade vowed to rebuild it bigger and better than before. Hired by Black Tom and Juggernaut, Arcade was able to capture Spider-Man and X-Men off the streets of New York City to have them battle inside Murder World. With some effort, the X-Men and Spider-Man were able to escape and rescue Colleen Wing, Betsy Wilford, and Amanda Sefton. Working with Dr. Doom, Arcade built an amusement park over Murder World, filled with even more perils. However, the X-Men were again able to escape. Mystique later made a deal with Arcade to use Murder World as training ground for the Brotherhood. Shadowcat and Colossus found themselves trapped in Murder World once again when Arcade recruited them to save his life from Dr. Doom. However, Doom was revealed to be a robot controlled by Miss Locke, who was allowed to try and kill Arcade on his birthday. Nightcrawler had to infiltrate Murder World once more when Arcade abducted and trapped Amanda Sefton there. The original X-Factor had to brave the hazards of Murder World once to save the mutant son of Arcade's therapist. And more recently, shortly after the death of Gwen Stacy, Arcade constructed a Murder World underneath Empire State University in order to torment Spider-Man. Unfortunately, he never activated the trap, and this Murder World was left alone so long it started to crumble. Years later, Spider-Man's ally, Ghost Spider, triggered the trap and fell into Murder World. After surviving Arcade's androids, a pre-recorded message from Arcade revealed that she could have left at any time, prompting her to leave. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another Daily Comic and Collectible, and I hope to see you again Friday. This is Cut Van Comicsman, and I'll catch you on the flip, baby. Over and out.